Where does Russia stand? Does Russia care whether Britain exits the EU or not?
Well, Russia cares about Europe. We do need a strong partner, and Europe our key partner in the world. Weak partners are usually not good partners, not safe partners. So we need Europe to stay strong. So depends. If Europe is not going to become weaker because of the Brexit, then we are okay with that. But if Europe is going to become weaker and we'll have problems also in terms of economy and overall economic development stance, then we are not in favor of that. But I would like to reiterate that it is sovereign right of people who live in the UK, and nobody should intervene to that.
Yeah, you'll be aware that a lot of people in Europe and in Britain believe that Russia would be delighted if the UK was to exit the European Union, because maybe Russia wants a weaker Europe. Maybe that would make it easier to end the sanctions. Is that not true?
That's not true. That's not true. And our true belief is that only really strong countries and strong unions can serve as instruments for stability around the world. And strong Europe is very important for us.
EU is Russia's biggest trading partner. I know President Juncker and President Putin have had an opportunity to meet. Did you get any sense that there's a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to the sanctions that have been imposed against Russia from that meeting?
Well, sanctions were imposed by Europe, by the United States, some other countries, and we cannot influence that. We are working, we are doing our best to keep our economy on track. Our economy is flattening now, so it's more or less stable already. We believe that sanctions are counterproductive for everyone, not for us, but for Europe as well, and for the United States and other countries. And the sooner sanctions will be revoked, the better the world is going to be.
We've heard the central bank say, the Russian central bank, that you can, sort of get to positive growth maybe by the end of the year. You're looking at maybe 1.5% next year. My question to you would be, can Russia ever get beyond 2% as long as those sanctions are in place, or is that as good as it gets?
Most of the growth depends not on sanctions, not on oil prices, but on our own policies to promote growth.
Structural
reforms, institutional reforms, better business environment, better science and education, things like that. Sanctions have only minor effect on that. Oil price have temporary effect, not long-term effect. So we should work better to achieve higher rates of growth, and it is possible to achieve 3 to 4% growth in the medium-term perspective.
Even with sanctions?
Even with sanctions.
We heard former French President Nicolas Sarkozy today say Russia should, as a gesture to get beyond sanctions, break the impasse, perhaps drop some of its counter-sanctions. Russia has banned a lot of EU imports, particularly in the food sector, as a way to sort of begin the thaw with the European Union. Is that something that Russia would entertain, or is it the EU that has to make the first move?
Well, we are not in the entertainment business. We are not in the charity world. Charity is important, but not in this case.
Right.
Our food embargo...
Well, he's not talking about charity. He's talking about you taking the first step.
Well, gesture. Well, it's not about gestures. Our food embargo was introduced as a compensation mechanism for our agricultural producers, since they were in the situation where financing conditions worsened dramatically after sanctions. So it's a compensation for that. And if we will revoke embargo, we are going to compensate for still bad financing conditions. Only taxpayers' money, but we don't have lots of those. We have strict budget constraint. So we need to keep this compensation policy in place until sanctions.
And it's working, you think? For Russian farmers?
We believe yes. Russian agriculture is basically the only sector growing in a sustainable manner over the last 3 years. We became the largest grain producer, largest grain exporter in the world this agricultural year. It is very important for us, since they're getting good profits and invest back to Russia, and we continue to increase our food production. So it is working.
You and I have been coming to this investment forum for the better part of a decade. What's your sense of investor appetite, particularly amongst foreigners? Is it improving?
I saw more than 20 companies today already over the first few hours of the forum. It's a new building, new facilities, so everyone is looking at the environment with interest. But most important thing is that everyone is in the process of investing more money into Russian economy.
Yeah.
In the process of creating new industrial facilities, new R&D projects, and creating even new research labs in Russia with Russian universities. Everyone, there's no single exception among those more than 20 companies. And those companies are from the United States, from Europe, from China, from Japan and other countries. So they are in the positive mood. They all believe that it will be better to do things without sanctions, without confrontation, but they continue doing business in Russia and with Russia on the basis of long-term interests.
Talk to me about your privatization program. One of the companies on the block that you're looking at privatizing is Alrosa. It's the world's largest diamond producer. Is it possible that we could see a share sale in Alrosa or a strategic sale as soon as this month?
Well, we have a number of companies preparing for privatization of stakes. In some cases, those stakes are minor, in some cases bigger.
Yep.
Alrosa is among those. Bashneft, Sovcomflot, Rosneft, a couple of others also on the list. Timing will depend on the evaluation of the markets by the government and by respective companies.
Sure.
So I cannot tell you the exact dates or even months.
Well, since we're in June.
But we are in the process of active preparation for that.
You're in the process of preparing
Active
the prospectus for a share sale, or not necessarily?
In some cases, we are still defining the right structure of privatization transaction, whether we are going to attract strategic investors or portfolio investors. In each particular case, ex ante is unclear. Decisions will be based on thorough market research.
We only have another minute. Talk to me about one of the companies you mentioned, Rosneft, the world's largest publicly traded oil producer. You want to sell a stake in it. One government official said, hey, maybe one way we could do it is we could sell a strategic stake to, say, the Chinese. We know they're interested, maybe the Indians. I'm not sure if they're interested or not.
Italians.
Or the Italians. Is that on the cards? Are the Italians interested?
We are in the process of discussing this with all our strategic partners. We will see, all Italians are here today at the forum, including the Prime Minister, so we will see whether there is an interest.
So you're not...
But we cannot exclude any possibility. We have very good relations with Chinese partners, with Indian partners, so we will have the real negotiation process.
Well, one thing we know is that BP isn't going to increase its stake. They've already said that. They're at 20%. They're happy.
We know about
is a share sale also possible? Like maybe you could do both, have a strategic sale for part of it.
All options are on the table.
All options on the table. And finally, the very last question, very quickly, dividends, right? One of the things that investors loved about what the government had to say is you're going to pay out, you want the state companies to pay out 50% of their profit in dividends. And then they have watched as a bunch of the companies have gotten exceptions. We won't get into the details for various reasons. Are you worried there's a little bit of a credibility problem in the sense that you've said you want one thing and a lot of the companies seem to be escaping your will?
I think that the overall trend and the position of the government that dividends should be higher is a very clear sign of what we are doing. But specific individual decisions are possible since the world is more complex than we think from the very beginning.